Welcome to the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin. Today I will be talking about NBA free agency. Kawhi Leonard made a big landscape shifting move last night and finally making his decision to go to the LA Clippers. I will be talking about that and all the other free agency acquisitions over the past week because I can do anything. But first, the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Slump. Dave Jarzina's debut novel is the tale of a 13-year-old named Mitchie Evers. He's at odds with every single person in his life. His friends, even old reliable best buddy Sammy, no longer seem to appreciate Mitchie's sparkling wit. His parents are so busy gushing over his perfect older brother that they don't have time for Mitchie. One by one, he alienates his best friend, family, teachers, and former soccer coach with his bullheadedness and his inappropriate and ill-timed sense of humor. With his penchant for hurting and insulting people, Mitchie makes a convincing jerk. Mitchie knows he's a little too young to be in a serious slump, but what can he do about it? Purchase the book that countless readers recommend anywhere that you buy books: Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Audible, Apple Books, Google Play, and more. The I Can Do Anything podcast is also brought to you by Zit Remover. Many of us experience acne for at least a portion of our lives, whether you're just hitting puberty or you're well-seasoned. It can be embarrassing and oftentimes painful. I actually myself experienced cystic acne since about my junior year of high school. After years of weekend-long AAU tournaments, wearing the same jersey game after game, and bad eating habits, my acne was out of control on my back and my neck. The acne was painful and just plain ugly. Thanks to Zit Remover, I don't have to worry about my acne any longer. After just 3 months of once-a-day use, Zit Remover didn't just temporarily remove my acne, it abolished the bacteria from my body entirely. To receive a free trial bottle of Zit Remover, visit zitremover.com/anything and sign up to receive a free bottle of the best zit removing cream along with our special zit removing scrubber, a scrubber that digs deep into the pores. You'll notice a significant improvement in your skin, and if you don't, your next bottle is free until you see results. So visit our website today at zitremover.com/anything for your free trial bottle today. Okay, so Kawhi Leonard chose the Clippers. I brought the podcast equipment up to the cottage. I just got back from a week-long vacation up north at my parents' cottage and brought the podcast equipment because I was expecting for pretty much everything to occur during the week, and pretty much everything did occur like right on Sunday when the free agency period opened. But really the big move and what everybody was waiting for was Kawhi Leonard. And so I didn't record just because I didn't think, it didn't feel right not having the Kawhi decision, which was going to be the landscape-changing decision in the NBA, not a part of the episode. Realistically, I probably could have, looking back at it, probably should have, because as I watched various talk shows throughout the week, Undisputed, pretty much every programming on Fox, First Things First, Undisputed, and The Herd, there were reports throughout the week from Chris Broussard and from Chris Carter. Stephen A, everybody had their takes, obviously. But the reports were that it was narrowed down to the Lakers and the Toronto Raptors. And just from hearing those reports, I sort of, on the outside, I was really excited that the Lakers, as it continued to boil, seemed like they were the favorite to get Kawhi, and that was really exciting as a LeBron fan. I think that big three would probably be the best big three ever formed. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce were really late in their career. D-Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh is a really, really prolific and one of the best ever big threes ever formed. You could go back to Magic and Kareem and who was the third? Magic, Kareem, and whoever else was on that Lakers team. Damn it, who am I thinking of? Maybe that wasn't a big three. I don't know. Some other big threes that are no, I don't know if you could consider what the Warriors had to be a big three. That was like a prototypical super team, but you could make the argument that Klay, Steph, and Durant are a big three. But I think Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and LeBron. Maybe if LeBron would have been like. Maybe if it would have happened 2 or 3 or 4 years ago in terms of LeBron, like if you get Kawhi now, who's definitely in his prime, Anthony Davis, who's definitely in his prime, and then LeBron 3 years ago or so. But even today with LeBron, I think it would have been the biggest big three ever formed. And probably minus, the insecurities of the bench, and how they would have formulated the rest of the roster, it probably would have been a foregone conclusion for who won the NBA championship next season. But Kawhi Leonard chose the Clippers, and reports are that he wouldn't have chose the Clippers had it not been for the trade to acquire Paul George to join him for the Clippers, with the Clippers, and they got Paul George, and the Clippers lost Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, and then like 8 future first round draft picks, or maybe more than that. Then they also got Mo Harkless in a 4-team trade. He was traded from, I believe he was traded from the Heat, because early on in the free agency period, the Heat traded Hassan Whiteside to Portland for Mo Harkless and Myers Leonard. That trade, I think, actually worked out really well for both teams. Hassan Whiteside is, I talked about in a previous episode, is kind of a dying breed of centers in the NBA. So for Jimmy Butler's sake, Jimmy Butler is reported to sign a 4-year, $142 million contract for $35.5 per year with the Heat, leaving the 76ers. I'll get to more of the free agency acquisitions in a second, but I think that helps Jimmy Butler. Getting rid of Hassan Whiteside, Myers Leonard spaces the floor pretty well as a big. My assumption is that he will probably start now as the center there after Hassan Whiteside's departure. But yeah, the Clippers also got Mo Harkless in that deal, or not in that deal, but in a 4-team trade from Portland. So, the NBA landscape, it's an interesting one. I just can't get down. I just can't really understand when I hear old people talking about free agency and how stupid it is that players are going everywhere and teaming up with each other. It just doesn't really make any sense. Like, why wouldn't you want why wouldn't players take matters into their own hands if they can? Everything revolving around the NBA has always been a players' league. And now, over the last, ever since LeBron went to Miami, players are taking matters into their own hands. They've realized that, I've got all the power here. I'm playing in the game. I'm the one with the talent, not the GMs. Sure, the general managers and the owners have a lot of money, and money makes the world go round. But they want to pay and give that money to the best players so that their teams can win. And these players know that. And why would they just sit around and wait for general managers and owners to make moves? Guys that, for the most part, like most general managers, know the game of basketball. The good ones are really good at acquiring talent. And the bad ones, I don't know what, like most general managers were coaches and were players. Even if they didn't play in the NBA and even if they didn't coach in the NBA, they've got basketball experience. They played the game. They've been around the game their entire life. So general managers, for the most part, know the game. But these owners don't know, like these owners that want to spend money on certain, like Daryl Morey, these guys don't know basketball. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. We saw it in Cleveland. LeBron could not get a fucking talented, another superstar. And part of that was because it was Cleveland. But LeBron couldn't get another guy to join him in Cleveland the front office couldn't get somebody else to Cleveland, so he took matters into his own hands in free agency and left and paired up with friends of his that were good as fuck at basketball. I don't get why is that like a cupcake patty, like patty cake thing to do? I don't quite get it. I was listening to Bill Burr's podcast last night, and he was talking about the free agency thing and how Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are pairing up and going here, and Kawhi Leonard is going to pair up with whomever and go wherever. It's just like, I don't see what's wrong with it. I don't see why it's something that should be a knock against these guys. The old man's perspective on the LeBron James going to Miami thing is that he left the hometown Cleveland and went to Miami and went with his friends and won 2 easy championships in Miami. Oh, 2 easy championships in Miami? One of them against one of the greatest dynasties ever, the Spurs, and it took a game-winning shot by Ray Allen to send it to Game 7 in Game 6. And the other one was were they both against the Spurs? Maybe I don't even remember who the second one was against. I know one of their wins was against the Spurs. The loss to the Mavs in the first year was pretty much LeBron's only blemish, maybe with the exception of this past season with the Lakers, although I think the injury, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily make it a blemish. I think maybe their overall record not making the playoffs is probably a blemish. When it comes to, when it's all said and done, I think that Mavs championship and this past season with the Lakers is the only blemishes in LeBron's career. But even this past season, the injury had a lot to do with it. And they were in 4th place in the West when it happened, and then they just plummeted to the bottom to wherever the fuck they finished. But I just don't understand the criticism of like NBA players teaming up here and there, and Bill Burr's talking about it like it's like Bill Burr is an incredible comedian and one of my favorites, and he was jokingly like making it like a gay thing, like I'm gonna go team up here and team up there, and it's funny. He's probably mainly doing it just to be funny, and that's fine. I laughed. But if you're looking at it like from a serious sentiment, like why the fuck wouldn't these guys team up with each other? And why, why would it doesn't, nobody wins championships on their own. I beat this thing into the ground, but nobody wins championships on their own. Jordan didn't win until he got Pippen. Charles Barkley couldn't win a championship on his own. Kevin Garnett played in Minnesota for the bulk of his career before he finally was like, all right, I'll quit the hard guy act. He didn't really quit the hard guy act, but he teamed up with some people that were good. He teamed up with Ray Allen towards the end of his career and Paul Pierce towards the end of his prime. Who else? I don't know. Jordan got Pippen because of a good front office move. If you don't have a good front office, if you're not Magic Johnson and you're drafted into one of the greatest dynasties ever, the Los Angeles Lakers, maybe let's say Magic Johnson gets drafted by the Pelicans like Zion Williamson. He's probably not winning all those championships. Bill Russell with the Celtics, one of the greatest coaches ever. I don't even remember who's on Bill Russell's team, but Bill Russell was playing a bunch of white guys that were way smaller than him. So I don't know. I've talked about Bill Russell's legacy, and he was obviously great, and he played against Wilt Chamberlain. That was about his only competitor, was Wilt Chamberlain. They were the 2 huge black dudes in the NBA at the time, playing against a bunch of other white guys. However, going back to free agency, so KD and Kyrie team up with the Nets. It seems like It seems like Kyrie sort of gained a lot of the power with the KD injury. He gained a lot of power in that relationship. I think it would have been Kyrie goes wherever KD wants to go, more than likely the Knicks. But with KD's injury, it was kind of like Kyrie wanted to go to Brooklyn. He's been a Nets fan his whole life. And then KD was like, oh, well, I'm not going to go to the Knicks alone. So I'll go to Brooklyn with you. So KD will sign a 4-year, $164 million contract with the Nets. That's $41 million per year. And then Kyrie, 4 years, $141 for $35.25 per year. There's going to be a lot of criticism that goes at James Dolan for not offering the max to KD with the Knicks. I don't know. It's probably valid. Whether or not that were the it's, to me, that kind of seems like a media ploy. I don't know. It seems like they probably just put that out. For whatever public relations standpoint. I don't know. I don't really give a shit about the Knicks, so I'm not really going to criticize Dolan. I know that Knicks fans are probably really pissed off. So there's a super team now. Not a super team. It's not even a fucking super team. These guys are just going to play. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you want to go play with your friends and people that are also good? And give it a shot, like KD had 3 years with the Warriors, and the third year sucked because of all the questions surrounding his impending free agency at the end of the year, and then capped off by the injury. But why the fuck wouldn't you want to? Boston's really excited about the signing of Kemba Walker for a 4-year, $141 million contract, the same as Kyrie, $35.25 per year. But they lost Al Horford, who signed with the 76ers, a 4-year, $109 million contract for $27.25 over those 4 years per year. The 76ers also re-signed Tobias Harris to a 5-year, $180 million contract. That's $36 per year. So Tobias Harris got more than Kyrie did. With the Nets, he got more than Kemba Walker. Klay Thompson signed the Supermax, I don't think it's a Supermax actually, because he wasn't eligible. His was a 5-year, $190 million contract for $38 per year with the Warriors. And then the Warriors got D'Angelo Russell on a 4-year, $117 million contract with a sign-and trade with the Nets for $29.25, a really good move in what pretty much everybody thinks is basically just a way to get at least something for losing Kevin Durant. And they think, I don't necessarily have an opinion either way. I think that just like everybody else, he's really not a good fit as a back. That's just a very loaded backcourt. It doesn't really seem rational when Klay comes back to have D'Angelo Russell come off the bench. Although if his ego were to allow for it, I think it would probably work. I think D'Angelo Russell could be a good scoring guard off the bench when Klay and Steph needed a break, or even when one of them needed a break. You could take Steph out and have D'Angelo go with Klay. I think that would be really good. I think Klay probably comes back sooner rather than later. He's now the NBA's resident tough guy, it seems like. So there's a lot of criticism there as far as whether or not he'll fit or whether or not he's just a trade piece next season as the trade deadline approaches. And I think either way, it's probably good. I don't think by any means is the Warriors dynasty over. The West is fucking loaded, man. I mean, the Trailblazers got better in free agency. The Nuggets really didn't do much in free agency, but I think they'll be really good again. Chris Middleton re-signed with the Bucks for 5 years, $178 million. That's 35.6 per year. Vucevic signed with the Magic. Fuck that. That doesn't fucking matter. The Magic suck. Porzingis signed with the Mavs, a 5-year, $158 million contract, 31.6 per year. The Jazz got better, signing Bogdanovich from the Pacers. He signed a 4-year, $73 million contract for 18.25 per year. And then the Bucks lost Brogdon, but they retained Paul, what's his name? George Hill. So George Hill signed a 3-year, $29 million contract for 9.6 per year with the Bucks, but they lost Brogdon to a 4-year, $85 million contract, 21.25 per year. I think the Pacers got better. They lost Bogdanovich, who was a great asset for them last season, but signed Brogdon. And then also, I believe they also got somebody else. They got Jeremy Lamb in a 3-year, $31.5 million contract, 10.5 per year. The Bucks retained Lopez, 4 years, $52 million over those 4 years for 13 per year. And then J.J. Redick, this was a really big one. J.J. Redick signed with the Pelicans a 2-year, $26 million contract, 13 per year with the Pelicans. That is a huge move for J.J. Redick. He's got more money every single year of every single contract he's signed. He's got more money. His agent is doing an incredible job. He goes to a young team to be a veteran leader, a veteran shooter, and a team that desperately needs shooting with Zion Williamson. Josh Hart is proved this past season to be a kind of a. He was kind of coined as their only consistent shooter, along with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but they were both pretty streaky. Lonzo Ball is not a shooter. Brandon Ingram can shoot the ball from 3 a little bit, but isn't consistent at all. So J.J. Redick will be a very much-needed veteran leader and veteran shooter for the Pelicans. Some other signings, Harrison Barnes to the Kings, 4 years, $85 million, 21.25 per year. The Knicks did end up with Julius Randle, 3 years, $63 million, 21 per year. I think for both parties, for the Knicks, it's kind of a saving grace, like, oh shit, we didn't get Durant. And for the Pelicans, Julius Randle, sort of like what's his name? Enes Kanter. Was it Enes Kanter that said that Zion Williamson is Julius Randle with hops? He's kind of right. So I think that it was good for the Pelicans to get rid of Julius Randle and make way for Zion Williamson to be kind of the center of attention and allow him to blossom a little bit and not clog. I mean, having both of those guys would just seriously clog up the lane. Some other signings then. Valanciunas signed. This Valanciunas signing is I think a really good indicator of where the NBA is at. Valanciunas, who was traded to Memphis in the Marc Gasol trade, signed a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, $15 million a year. Jonas Valanciunas makes $15 million a year. If you're just a casual NBA fan, more than likely you aren't even listening to this. But if you're a casual NBA fan and you happen to be listening, you don't know who the fuck Jonas Valanciunas is, and he makes $15 million a year. It's fucking crazy, man. All these guys are getting paid. Like I said, Jeremy Lamb, 3 years, $31.5 million, 10.5 per year. He is a good NBA talent at best. A good piece maybe on a championship team, making $10.5 million a year. Al-Farouq Aminu left the Blazers to sign with the Magic, a 3-year, $29 million contract, 9.6 per year. The Jazz got rid of Ricky Rubio, and he signed with the Suns for 3 years, $51 million, 17 per year. I think that's a good release for the Jazz getting rid of his contract, or I think he was a free agent, so that contract came off the books regardless. But that made way for the Bogdanovich signing, which I think is really good for them. They needed some spacing and some shooting, and Bogdanovich certainly provides that. The Clippers also re-signed Patrick Beverley, 3 years, $41 million, 13.6 per year. Terrence Ross re-signed with the Magic, 4 years, $54 million, 13.5 per year. So the Magic retained both of their stars, Vucevic and Terrence Ross, and then also acquired Al-Farouq Amino. They will continue to be pretty much irrelevant in the East. They made the playoffs last year, but did they really? I mean, the East was pretty top heavy and then pretty horrible towards the bottom. Thaddeus Young signed with the Bulls, a 3-year, $41 million contract, 13.6 per year. Then, like I said, Jimmy Butler signed a 4-year, $142 million contract, 35.5 per year. Kawhi Leonard's contract was the same, 4 years, 142, 35.5 per year. The same as Jimmy Butler's. Derrick Rose signed with the Pistons, a 2-year, $15 million contract, 7.5 per year. So that's really great for Derrick Rose to stay in the NBA for another 2 years. I think he'll continue to sign 2-year contracts or maybe even 1-year contracts for the next maybe, 5 years. He may have like 1 or 2 more contracts after this one before his career is over. The Spurs acquired DeMarre Carroll. I think this is a really big pickup. A good defender, a good just character guy, a 3-and-D type of guy. DeMarre Carroll signs a 2-year, $13 million contract, 6.5 per year. They got him for pretty cheap, which allows for the rumors that DeMarcus Cousins could sign with the Spurs. That allows them to have a little cap space for DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know that I think if he were to go anywhere and be a fit, there's throughout his career, there's been talks about whether or not he's just of his character. And I think Greg Popovich, if any coach, I think that who he was with last year, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, are the best fits for him to fit into a team mold. And I think that, let's say that they were to get DeMarcus Cousins, the Spurs are a sleeper in the West. Please do not sleep on the Spurs if they get DeMarcus Cousins in the West. And I don't think many will. But it would be interesting to see what they did with the starting 5. But you got DeMarcus Cousins, let's say, and then LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, who came off the bench for the most part, DeMarre Carroll. They're going to get their point guard, their young point guard, a young, very budding point guard whose name is escaping me right now, that was injured the entire season last year. They're going to get him back. That's something that nobody is talking about. So they're going to get him back. And then they've got homeboy that left in the Toronto trade for Kawhi Leonard from Compton. Come on, what's your name, bud? Wow. DeMar DeRozan. They've got him. I think the Spurs could be a sleeper in the West if they were to get DeMarcus Cousins. Now, once that does happen, maybe they wouldn't necessarily. I think people will certainly talk about it. But the West is goddamn good, man. Jazz, Clippers, the Warriors are still going to be a threat. Spurs, Lakers with Anthony Davis, now Danny Green, who signed a 2-year, $30 million contract, 15 per year with the Lakers. I think that's a really good piece. He was reported and expected to go wherever Kawhi went. If Kawhi would have stayed with the Raptors, I think he probably would have stayed. And then if he would have gone to the Lakers, I think he probably would have signed a contract with the Lakers still. And it was reported that he was going to go wherever Kawhi went, but he ended up going to the Lakers. I think that's a really big pickup for the Lakers. Pretty much everybody, including the Lakers, Clippers, or mostly the Lakers, Clippers, and Raptors, were basically waiting on Kawhi to make further signings. So the Lakers, after Kawhi announced Danny Green announced that he was going to the Lakers for 2 years, $30 million. So D Rose, Damari Carroll, Bobby Portis signed with the Knicks. The Knicks, instead of getting Kevin Durant, got Bobby Portis. They got Bobby Portis and Julius Randle. Not Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Bobby Portis, Julius Randle. What a fucking off season for the Knicks. And then DeAndre Jordan signed a 4-year, $40 million contract, 10 per year with the Nets. And then the Lakers re-signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for 2 years, $16 million, $8 million per year. So the Lakers roster is sort of rounding out now. They missed out on Kawhi Leonard, but they've got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then just signed Danny Green and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Danny Green is a consummate professional, a winner in multiple places now, in large part because of the Spurs dynasty and Kawhi Leonard, and then with the Raptors because of Kawhi Leonard. But Danny Green is a great piece to any team, really, to any championship team. He's a great shooter, a great defender. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was the best shooter that the Lakers had. I believe I just got a notification earlier today that JaVale McGee is also re-signing with the Lakers. I like that. I think he could be a really good backup. As a starter last year, he was effective for the Lakers. I don't think he was a part of the problem last year for the Lakers. But I think he'll be a really great backup center for Anthony Davis. He'll essentially be everything Anthony Davis is minus the offense. You know, like Anthony Davis is a shooter. That's a weird thing to say, that Anthony Davis is a shooter, but Anthony Davis is a good fucking shooter for his size. But JaVale McGee will come in and be a really good defender, a rim protector, a great pick and roll guy offensively. So he signs he'll return with the Lakers. He'll likely start at center. JaVale McGee, according to Ramona Shelburne, JaVale McGee has agreed to return to the Lakers, where he'll likely start at center, a 2-year, $8.2 million deal with a player option. I completely disagree. I think he'll come off the bench. Anthony Davis will start at center. Unless you put Anthony Davis at the 4 and JaVale McGee at the 5. I don't know. A lot of that is gonna to be determined because of, the Lakers are still kind of rounding out their roster. Let me go to the Lakers roster and just see where it's at as of right now. Another report was that Dwight Howard is going to the Grizzlies, and that the Grizzlies are going to buy out his contract. I think that that's hilarious. Dwight Howard's NBA career is more than likely over. If the Grizzlies buy out that contract and he isn't on the Grizzlies next season, he's never getting signed again. Guaranteed. Okay, so let me go to the Lakers roster. Schedule, news, video. Come on, give me teams. Oh, the roster is still from last year on the NBA website. Let me see if the old Google has it. Lakers roster. Lakers begin filling out roster after missing on Kawhi Leonard. This is just going to be the Caldwell-Pope, Danny Green, and JaVale McGee acquisitions. Yeah. This is a story on thebiglead.com. When you add these signings to the acquisitions of Jared Dudley and Troy Daniels, it's clear the Lakers are attempting to surround LeBron James and Davis with shooters and defenders. I didn't know that Jared Dudley had signed. Lakers agree to deal with Jared Dudley. Huh. Okay. That happened that happened on July 2nd. Or this story is from July 2nd. Jared Dudley will sign a 1-year, $2.6 million deal with the Lakers. That's a pretty good pickup for the Lakers. I don't mind that. Jared Dudley was a character veteran leader for the Nets last year, causing all kinds of confrontation with the 76ers in the playoffs. I like that signing for the Lakers. I don't even know who Troy Daniels is. LA is still desperately in need of a point guard, and a reunion with Rondo would seem to make sense. Yeah, I think Rondo will re-sign. Troy Daniels, I don't even know who that is. Oh, he's from the Suns. Lakers sign elite shooter Troy Daniels. The Los Angeles Lakers finally made a move in free agency. Unfortunately, it wasn't the big one that we've been waiting for. Kawhi Leonard. 1 year, $2.1 million deal with Troy Daniels. Okay. They need shooting, so that's a pretty good acquisition. It'll be interesting to see who else signs. I think Rondo will. There's been talks about the Nuggets being interested in Iguodala if his contract is bought out. I believe in Memphis. So Memphis is buying out a lot of contracts. But I think the Lakers could also be in the mix to get Iguodala after he was traded to the Grizzlies in that it was like a 3-team trade with the sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell. So NBA free agency again proves to be just fun, like fascinating, man. To me, this is great. I love it. Why not shake up the NBA every season? You get a new fun look NBA. I used to love it on SportsCenter when I was a kid, when they, at the beginning of a baseball season or at the beginning of an NBA season, you'd say new same face, new look. They do a same face, new look thing, and they'd show like, oh, this guy's playing for this team now, and he used to play for that. I loved that. I think it refreshes the league every year. It's great for the players to be able to go get the money they deserve and play with guys they want to play with and play in areas they want to play with, or play for owners or coaches that they want to play with. I think it's great. I really don't understand the criticism of the players making all these decisions for themselves and calling it like the cup. I just don't understand it. I think it's great for the NBA. I think it's great for the players, and I love it. It's fucking great, man. I think it's great. This episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast is also brought to you by Landscaped. Are there any homeowners out there? If you own a home, in most cases, you know that you're going to have some yard work. Landscaped is here to help. Landscaped takes pride in having the most extensive catalog of outdoor tools, appliances, furniture, lighting, materials, decor, power supplies, pool and spa, gardening, recreation, water and irrigation, accessories, and more. Visit our stores across the United States to receive help from our trained landscape architects, take classes and listen to seminars on a wide variety of topics and focus areas, including Gardening 101, homeowners construction best practices, insect and pest control and behavior, creative materials concepts, pool and spa maintenance, fencing and perimeter design, owning your space, and many more. Or visit us online at landscaped.com/anything to receive $10 off your first order of $50 or more, and $50 off any order of $300 or more. That's landscaped.com/anything. A special savings for listeners of the I Can Do Anything podcast. Landscaped.com/anything. Okay, so 4th of July was Thursday. I was sitting there on the 4th of July at night with my dad on our seawall up at the cottage, just hanging out over a fire. My mom and my girlfriend went to sleep pretty early that night. So we're just sitting there enjoying some peace and quiet, and then the fireworks start. We're just sitting there talking politics, talking about life and whatever. It was great. And the fireworks thing to me is so fucking stupid. What an American thing to do. Hey, we're free. Let's pollute the earth. Let's pollute the lake. Let's pollute the earth with noise and fucking... It's so dumb. My neighbors up at the cottage who are from Chicago have all these dumb fucking fireworks that really don't even... Like, I understand like a grandiose like professional quality, like professional grade fireworks display. That to me is cool. If it's somewhat in the distance and it's a legit fireworks display with like, if it's not just noise, if there's a cool visual element to it, that's fun. I get that. But the personal fireworks thing, our neighbors are shooting. They've got sand in their front yard. They stick a fucking thingy, this little stick, basically, this little fucking twig. It looks like a damn chopstick into the sand. You light it. It shoots in the air, it makes a bang noise, and that's it. What a waste of fucking money. What an American thing to do, to just spend your hard-earned money on some dumb bullshit that goes up into the air, makes noise, and even if it does do something, it just does like there's like a little bit of a visual when it gets to the top. They had these things that they just set on the seawall. It was basically like a water bottle. I've got like a hydro flask water bottle. It's a 32-ounce water bottle. It's probably, I don't know, 3 inches in diameter. That's basically what this thing was. It was a 7-inch, 8-inch tall, 3-inch diameter bottle. And at the top, you lit it, and then a bunch of just sparks and shit and colors just stayed right at the top of it. It went like, I don't know, 1.5 feet above the thing, and it was just there, and it just like made noise, a bunch of it, and it was just like, and then it ends and the neighbors go, woo, yay, that was great. It's like, really? You really need that to entertain yourself? I think personal fireworks like that are so fucking stupid. They're for people with no attention span and absolutely just like, I don't know, it almost, this is kind of a stretch, but people that are just like sort of ungrateful for their circumstances and like for for the earth that we live in and for like the people around them. You have the attention span of a 3-year-old. You got to go. Let's exclude just for a moment the risk reward, where the risk is that you blow your hand off or that thing turns after you've lit it and shoots at somebody, versus the reward that is like it pops when it gets into the air, makes some noise, scares the neighbor's dogs, scares people that were in war in Vietnam or wherever the fuck they were in war, who have PSD for loud bangs like that. So the risk reward is horrible. You get a little bit of a pop and a little bit of a sparkle, and you could blow your hand off or shoot it at somebody, and everything I just explained. But there's also like this. They had this thing on the seawall, and it's just shooting up all these sparks, and they're shooting stuff over the lake. There's fish that live in that lake. I swim in that lake. It's just like yay, we're free. Let's shoot some shit into the air, send a bunch of debris all over the place into the lake. The fish probably fucking think it's food and choke on it and die. Maybe I'm being a little sensitive, but I just think it's so fucking stupid. You have the attention span of a 4-year-old. You got to send some sparks up into the air to get a little bit of excitement in your life. Why can't you just sit around a fire, talk with your friends, enjoy some peace and quiet? I mean, my dad and I are sitting there, and for the most part, we're really not even saying much. We're just listening to the fire, the silent, very quiet crackle of a fire, and just enjoying the peace and quiet of a vacation of northern Michigan and it's all of its beauty. I mean, the sunset on the opposite side of behind our house. So we see like the remnants of the golden sunshine on the east coast of the lake that the cottage is on. And it was just fucking beautiful, man. And then these people all around us are setting off fireworks and there's loud bangs everywhere. It's just so dumb to me. I just can't understand it. People who, if you're listening to this and you set off personal fireworks and you go and spend $250, $300, $1,000 on personal fireworks, imagine the money that is spent on fireworks annually, just on the 4th of July alone, let alone people that probably do it for other occasions. Just on the 4th of July alone, imagine if everyone in America, or everyone in the world for that matter, let's just say America, if everyone in America, instead of going out and personally spending, let's say $200, $500 on fireworks, let's say everybody instead puts that money towards public education in America. We could fund schools in Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Oakland, Los Angeles, I mean, you name it, poverty-stricken metropolitan cities in America. Fund the education systems and put hundreds of thousands of underprivileged, in most cases minority people in higher, you could just set them up for higher education futures and for so much better. Like, think of all the things that we could do with the stupid amounts of money that is spent on the firework displays of the 4th of July. I mean, let's say there's just so much that could, homelessness. I don't know. Healthcare. I don't know anything about healthcare. But what if all that money was put towards a healthcare system, or put towards the research of how to figure out a better way to go about healthcare in this country? I think the biggest problem with healthcare in this country is that everybody thinks that they know how the fuck to fix it, and nobody fucking knows. There's too many goddamn people, and everybody thinks that they've got the solution. What if all that firework money was put towards researching the best way to do healthcare in this country, or to homelessness, or to public education, or to, I don't know what other causes there are in the world, curing cancer? For God's sakes, the NFL does the NFL does fireworks displays probably damn near before every game. What if all that money instead was put towards cancer research? I mean, the NFL does a really good job of cancer awareness and, promoting donations to cancer. But what if all the 4th of July fireworks that Americans spend every year was instead put towards cancer research, homelessness, public education? I mean, the list could go on and on. I just think fireworks are so fucking stupid. And if you do them, I don't know, maybe consider instead of spending your money next 4th of July or any time that you're going to buy fireworks, put it towards public education, put it towards cancer research, or anything. And I'm not trying to be all fucking holier than thou, and maybe I am. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I just think fireworks are fucking stupid, and that money could go towards way, way, way better things in this country. And for that, I end the I Can Do Anything podcast. I will be back once there's more free agency news in the NBA. And I think that will more than likely be, I don't know when the free agency period ends. I know that there's like a week where it opens, and then I don't know how it works, but I appreciate you listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. Have a great rest of your weekend and a great week. Thank you for listening.